guys, and welcome to the channel. It's Joanna here, founder and CEO of Supwell. Today I'm back with another shoe preview and market analysis. Yesterday we did the Saucony Ride 17 and today we got the Saucony Guide 17. Now the Ride and Guide have historically been identical twins that had a bit of structural difference between them. The Ride was that neutral daily trainer with a firm and planted feel, and then the Guide was that stability daily trainer, again with that firm and planted feel, just adding a little bit of extra support around the outsides of it to make the Ride a more stable shoe. Now in version 17 of these shoes, we're seeing them part ways completely, and I gave Saucony a bit of a pass in the Ride preview yesterday. Today, you guys are gonna hear it from me. I am not happy with the design of this Guide 17, and let me tell you guys, if there's one thing that gets under my skin more than anything else in this entire world, it is unoriginality and stealing. You know, I usually wait to throw up these pictures. Let's throw up the picture of this Guide right now. This thing is like they took the Hoka Bondi and just completely copied it. They're wearing their influence not even on their sleeve. They're wearing their influence tattooed on their face. Everything down to the sculpting of the midsole where it meets the ground, where there's these 5 little cutouts. It is copy and pasted from the Bondi. They did the same thing in the Ride 17, looking at the Pegasus and shifting that over to their design. And they're doing it again here with the Guide. Saucony, what are you doing? You guys have good designs, man. Let me pull out my Pro 3. This is one of the best designed shoes of the past year. This thing is beautiful, it's clean, it's simple, it's timeless. I would have loved to see you take this design and evolve it, trickle it down throughout all of your other models. But no, instead, you're just throwing it away and going with something completely different, copying every other brand out there. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to, other than criticizing the design of this shoe, I'm gonna let you know all the changes that we're seeing in the Guide 17 from the 16 and let you know where this might fit into your rotation, what type of runner this is gonna be good for, and those other shoes that you might wanna consider if you're looking at the Guide. Let's get into it. So historically, the Saucony Guide series has been that mild stability to stable daily trainer that's good for runners who overpronate. Now, it looks like they're keeping that same formula intact for the Guide 17, except they're changing it up a bit in that it looks like there's not gonna be as many prescriptive stability elements in the platform, and instead they're going with this trend that's pretty popular in the market right now, where companies are using inherent stability in the shoes. Now, what does inherent stability look like? Let me pull out a shoe that does this really well. So if we take a look at the Asics Gel Nimbus 25, this is a neutral max cushion shoe. It's designed for comfort over the long haul, but what it does is it has a really wide base so that when you land on the heel, it compresses and spreads out, which adds a stable platform. There's no medial post in this. There's no lateral plastic element or anything. It's just gonna add stability when you land because it's wider. Another mild stability shoe that Saucony has in their lineup, a bit more of a prescriptive element, but not as much as those traditional stability shoes, is the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. So we see here, there's this plastic clip around the back. There's no medial or lateral post, but just a little bit of clip for that extra support when you land, and again, a wider base. So it looks like in the Guide 17, we're continuing to see Saucony evolve what this mild stability, inherent stability type of platform can look like. And from this picture of the Guide, it looks like they're doing that by raising the sidewalls a bit up on the heel area and widening out the heel foam. Now, the current version of the Guide shares a platform with the Ride, like I mentioned, and so the specs on that one are 35 millimeters up in the heel, 27 millimeters in the forefoot for that 8 millimeter drop. From the looks of it, it seems that we're getting a little bit taller here in the Guide. I'm not exactly sure. My guy Mike Yardis, go ahead and drop those specs down there. As soon as he does that, I'll pin that for you all to see. It looks like this is increasing a little bit, which maybe it's bordering on that Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 territory. Now, from the looks of it, it seems that Saucony is also trying to appeal to walkers and more casual runners with this shoe. The Guide is really a tried and true through and through running shoe. It looks like they're gonna be evolving that a little bit in the Guide. Again, stealing a little bit of that, or stealing entirely that formula from Hoka to make this a more Bondi-like shoe that can appeal to the general public. Alright guys, let's get into the midsole. Now version 16 of the guide uses Power Run, which is the same compound that we're seeing in the Ride 16. It's the same compound that's in the Kinvara and the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. Now this Power Run foam, it's a bit firmer. It's an EVA based compound. It's not as bouncy. It's not as exciting as something like an EVA blend or a TPU or a PIBA might be, but it's a really solid foam that gets the job done. I love it for daily training, and I think it's a great foam in a stability shoe and also a max cushion shoe that you want to use to have a bit more support. Other bouncier modern foams tend to be less stable inherently, so going with a firmer foam allows them to put a higher stack of it and make it a bit more stable still. So because the guide is still a stability shoe, I'm guessing they're going to leave that formula intact using that full length bed of Power Run. From the picture I have, just the eyeball test, it looks like this is still an EVA based foam. It has that sculpting to it, but it looks like it's that Power Run, and it looks like the stack height has gone up a little bit. My one question around this midsole is if we are raising the stack height, making this more of a max cushion shoe like the Bondi, where does that leave the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3? Now, if you've been following my channel for the past few months, you know this is one of my all-time favorite shoes, probably my top 3, top 5 all-time favorite shoes. So I'm gonna be very sad if this goes. Doctors of running have been a little bit rumor mill whispers that this is potentially getting canceled, especially with the Saucony Kinvara Pro now in the lineup, which accomplishes a similar purpose as this. So if they are targeting that Bondi, if they are increasing the stack height, if they are still using that Power Run, that spells out some cannibalization for the Shift 3. I'd be sad to see this go, but I would understand the appetite to have one unified, firmer, stable max cushion shoe in the lineup. So I pulled out my Mach 5 so we can do a little bit of a comparison between the Saucony design language and the Hoka design language. Now, they didn't copy the Mach 5, but they copied a lot of the elements that we're seeing in these Hoka shoes. So if you look at these Hokas, they have these cutouts on the bottom. If we look at the last gen of Saucony shoes, do you guys see any cutouts here? No, not on the Shift 3. Do you see any cutouts on the Triumph? No, not on the Triumph. Okay, let me see where's my Speed 3? Let me go get that one. All right, any cutouts on the Speed 3 foam? No cutouts on the bottom. All right, so we don't have any cutouts on the bottom of the last gen of Saucony shoes, but we do have them on the Hoka shoes. And so Saucony is copying not just the cutouts on the bottom, but the entire design language of the Guide 17 from Hoka. So let's throw up a comparison picture here of the Bondi in the orange and blue and the Guide 17 in the orange and blue. This has got to be, in the past year or so, one of the worst, most blatant cases of copying that I've seen. Okay, let me point out a few things for you. This colorway, right? Blue with the orange. It's not the most unique colorway, but Saucony copied everything here, from that orange little strip on the top of the foam all the way down to the orange pull tab on the back of the shoe. Hoka uses these lines in their foam. Now Saucony's using these horizontal lines in their foam. They've just completely copied what Hoka's doing here. I don't need to go down on this anymore, but it makes my blood boil. In terms of the actual upper, other than the design here, it looks like there's a moderately padded heel around the back, as is great for these everyday running shoes. Maybe this is even shifting more toward that max cushion recovery category, it looks like from the likes of it. And there's also comfortable laces and what looks to be a padded tongue. I'm guessing this is gonna come in around that 9-ounce range due to that taller stack of foam. Current one is 8.8, so with more padding in the upper, it probably isn't going to be the lightest weight shoe, but given the use case for it, not the worst thing in the world to have a bit more weight if it's also adding comfort. In terms of who the shoe is designed for, it looks like Saucony is shifting this from that stable daily trainer category, where we see shoes like the New Balance 860 and that Brooks GTS series with the Ghost, and moving it more toward that max cushion inherent stability category. Both the Asics Gel Nimbus and Kayano play here. Kayano is a bit more stable. We also have the New Balance More V4, which isn't entirely a stability shoe, but has that wider platform. Then of course we have the Hoka shoes, which play here, both the regular variants and the stable variants. So from the looks of it, it seems that this is going to be more of that inherent stability shoe that's good for neutral runners who want a bit more support on the days where they're pulling for that max cushion shoe, myself included. That was my main use case for the Shift 3. I use this as a hybrid daily trainer recovery shoe on those days where I was feeling a little bit banged up. I would pull for this, make sure I had support, make sure that I could just flow, wasn't having to worry about ankle stability or anything like that. And then on faster days, I could also use it because there wasn't a lot of cumbersome extra pieces in it. The Triumph, on the other hand, isn't the most stable shoe, so I see the differentiation between those two. What worries me again is there's not a lot of differentiation between this new version of the Guide and the Shift now that they've increased the stack height on that Guide. So if you're a fan of Hoka, or if you're a fan of these inherent stability shoes, max cushion shoes, if you're a neutral runner who likes support, or if you are an overpronating runner who needs just a mild bit of support, then it looks like the Guide 17 is going to be a great option for you. Current version comes in at $140. I'm guessing we're going to see a modest price increase on this next gen because again, they've made a full redesign of these, but we'll have to wait for the details. Again, my guy Mike, if you got the price on these, let us know. All right, guys, that's all we have today. As always, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and I'll make sure to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of performance running.